Doing great, Mike. How are you? It's been a great sports weekend.
Yeah, it has been. Of course, we've just seen the women's final in the Olympics. What a game it was. New Zealand proving to be the mistresses of the game. 1912 against a stubborn Canada. Previously, we did see France defeating Fiji to win the men's title. We saw Shuja play not too shabbily in the men's competition. And of course, the reason why we're here is because of what happened over the weekend. The opening round of the Sportpesa National Sevens Circuit, the Christie Sevens. You are on the ground. Obviously, it would be great to hear from you.
Yeah, definitely. Yes, I was on the ground. I witnessed the opening round of the Sportpesa National Sevens Circuit. That is the 2024 edition. Of course, I can report on what entirely happened, and I mean, it's the opening round was sort of a slow start in terms of the teams adapting to sevens, but at the end of the day, we had a champion, and yeah, Christie Sevens was quite a spectacular event.
Christie Sevens champions, fully deserved. Well done, Cabras.
Great. And, we're talking about the Christie Sevens. Cabras obviously won it. How did they win it?
I mean, when we did the analysis, the pre-event analysis, we of course had Cabras and KCB at the back of our minds, being that the two teams, of course, have been dominant over the last couple of years in the local scene. But looking at the team lists that were named, Michael, and this I have to really, put across. Nobody really expected Cabras to come through and win the Christie Sevens, especially not against the hosts, Kenya Harlequins. Considering the quality in terms of the squad, Cabras had quite a number of debutants, and then of course Queens playing at home. It's a final. They of course also had a few names that were new kids on the block, but really Cabras coming through the way they did. Looking at how they started the whole thing, I mean, day one was quite a bit slow. They had a slow start, but then with the tournament games coming through, Cabras built a bit of momentum going into the cup quarters. The cup quarters was, a very narrow affair for them. They managed to get through that one. They got through to the cup semis. The cup semis, they met Strathmore Leos, and of course, Strathmore Leos was always going to pose a challenge for the team. For Cabras Sugar. So ideally, Cabras just really stood up and made the day count for them.
Sure, they made the day count for them. Of course, a difficult day one. Now, day two, that final, it was an interesting final, a strange final, really. Cabras throwing punches, Queens responding, pretty much the kind of final you see once in a blue moon. At the end of the day, they won the final. What was your take of how that final match was played?
Well, the final was, like you've said, it was a seesaw event. Cabras scored, Queens responded. Amon Wamalwa came through. You could see that he was really intent on making sure that he carried Queens over the line, but it didn't really pan out for the Kenya Harlequins faithful. So Cabras really stuck in there, and that resilience. And you could also see that they depended on their Kenya Sevens Legion. They had the two individuals from the Kenya Sevens team, that is William Mwanji, who was very instrumental, and also Brian Mutua, and of course the likes of Eric Antona. There's Colin Sosore, the very diminutive scrum half. So Cabras really stuck to their guns, their processes. They were never scared of the big stage. Of course, much as they had debutants coming through, it was an opportunity for the young, and upcoming boys to put up a hand and, of course, they were successful around that final. It was a very, very good final for the fans, and hopefully that sets the pace and the tone going forward in the Sportpesa National Sevens Circuit.
Okay, you talked about Eric Cantona, tournament MVP. Just how good is this guy named after the French football legend? How good is Eric Cantona?
Well, I've had an opportunity to follow his illustrious career. He was formerly at the Masinde Muliro University of Science and Technology, and under the tutelage of Asila. And you could see the young man, and he had glimpses really. And of course, when he was coming through, Cabras had the likes of Philip Wokorach and company. So he really had, someone to look up to, or people to look up to. And this proved an opportunity for him to actually show us what he's been up to. He has been playing in the local 15s league, and he has been starting for the Eric Shally Shield side. That is the Cabras Sugar Eric Shally Shield team. But of course, in front of him, he has the likes of Barry Robinson, he has the likes of Ntabeni Dukisa, he has the likes of John Ekubu. So he's really trying to put up a name for himself. And he had a grand opportunity. I mean, no better place for you to go out and showcase your skill as compared to, Kenya Harlequins. I mean, it was the final of the the Christie Sevens. He had an opportunity, a young side. He's leading the young side, of course, from the flyer position. And I remember at some point in the semis, he had two cross kicks in one specific move. I don't know if you caught a glimpse of that. And you could see the maturity of the young man, and clearly he has really stepped up and he has that ability to decide games. And it's quite refreshing to see that. And also remember, Michael, we don't have much of a pool in terms of flyers within the country. You see the Simbas are struggling with the flyer position. We can't really pinpoint. And then the established nations, you can always tell that the likes of Richie Mounga, you have Andre Pollard, you have the likes of Ntamak in France. The clubs are built around the flyers. And seeing such a young man come through with the confidence and the ability to execute the way he did, I think it's really impressive and very, very refreshing. And hopefully we can see so much from him on the local circuit.
Route one in close quarters. Good thinking, good play there by Catholic Monks and this with 6 men alone in the second half.
You talk about refreshing. There was a performance that was refreshing, and it was from the pesky little brothers, the guys that we talked about last weekend, the guys who show up for every game with a cross. They delivered quite a number of cross kicks. They're related to the Catholic religion. Without much further ado, we're talking about the Catholic monks. What a tournament they had.
Yes, what a tournament, Michael. I was really impressed, and rightly so. We pointed it out from our pre-match analysis that there were always going to be that banana peel, that that little brother of yours who definitely will give you a run for your money. And true to their word, from the first game of the day, Catholic monks were in for something big. You could see that much of the preseason that they've had quite a number of tournaments to go to, and they've played quite a number of sevens events before the Sportpesa National Sevens Circuit. So I believe to some extent, Catholic monks. If you look at their graph, you can tell that they were specifically ready for this event. They were really ready for them to put something forward and say to the world that, you can always count us in when it comes to the shorter version. And you can also see that from the dream team that they had, individuals representing them. Quer will always give you a hard time when you play against them. So I'm looking forward to this. Salambo has done a fantastic job there as a head coach, and that is the kind of caliber of rugby that we are looking forward to. I mean, they will always surprise you. You will always get ready to play them, but you don't know where they'll hit you from. They're very tiny, they're very diminutive, but they're very aggressive with what they do. So Catholic Monks is a team to watch out.
Do you think they can sustain this run throughout the circuit, or are we going to see the emergence of the big boys? The reason I asked that, KCB and Menengai Oilers, two teams who were chief protagonists for the title last year, alongside Cabras Sugar, not having the best of tournaments. I believe they met in the fifth place final, KCB nicking it from the Oilers. The question number one is, do you think the Catholic monks can sustain their momentum throughout the Seventh Circuit campaign? Number two, KCB and Menengai Oilers, what went wrong for them in Nairobi at the Christie Sevens?
Well, rightly pointed out, Mike. It's a question of can they really, the Catholic monks, sustain this? And I believe the answer to that is definitely in the squad depth. Remember, it's a very demanding seventh season, and you definitely need a bigger pool of players for you to be able to maybe challenge the big boys and probably be up there when it comes to the overall tally. I believe that Catholic monks had a show this weekend, but remember now next weekend the dynamics change because now they become the hunted. The teams that lost in the previous week to Catholic monks definitely are going back to the drawing board. But definitely those ones who have been pulled against Catholic monks in the coming fixtures, that is in Kakamega, will definitely be wary of the threat that Catholic monks possesses. So what do you do about that? It is you to go up against them, challenge them. But definitely, if you ask me that question once again next weekend, I'll be able to tell you that Catholic monks can only sustain this if the squad depth is up to task. But if they don't have the squad depth, by leg number three, the burnout will always be there. Injuries would have taken a toll on them. So that will be definitely a question to be answered at the tail end of the Sportpesa National Sevens Circuit. But speaking of KCB and the Menengai Oilers, well, KCB, Michael, we talked about something last week, and I wanted to bring it out to you this week and our listeners. Is remember when the squads were being named, you can see at the tail end of every squad declared by clubs, there is that star denoting a debut, which means that KCB, as compared to the other teams that were coming through this weekend, KCB did not have any player on their roster who you could, say that they were making their debut in the Sportpesa National Sevens Circuit. And now, what does that mean? That goes to mean that they had an experienced squad, and and I was actually surprised that how KCB performed this weekend because I really expected them to put up something of or sort of a fight, moving because they had a scare on day one, so I expected them to work on their mistakes coming into day two. I didn't see a change in that, and of course they went on to lose the cup quarters and salvage something, winning the fifth place, and of course beating the Menengai Oilers to the fifth place position. So this weekend was sort of a reminder to KCB that they'll have to pull up their socks. Cabras have already fired the first salvo. They went through, winning the overall trophy at the Christie Sevens. And now KCB, the question is up to them. Can they be able to rally? They have a 1 week turnaround. Can they be able to do something?
Yeah, maybe just to add something about KCB, our thoughts and prayers go out to Jacob Oje, who lost his father on the morning of the second day of the Christie Sevens. May Jacob Oje's father's soul rest in eternal peace. And also just to give a big shout out to Oje because he showed great mental strength to soldier on with the team on day two, even after receiving the news of his father's passing. And we just pray for him and his family to have strength, grace, courage at this particular point in time. I don't know if he'll play a further role in the campaign for KCB, but for what he did, I think that was very strong of him. And you could see that he led by example, literally carrying the team on his back.
Yeah, you're right. And I join you in conveying my condolences messages to the OJ family. And just speaking about Jacob OJ, he was very instrumental in making sure that KCB secured that fifth position. The experience in the man himself, I believe, was what was needed. And now KCB can rally around that performance from OJ, considering the problems that he was facing, and then build towards next weekend. But also, I know KCB with the squad depth that they have, they will definitely go back to the drawing board and come through with a competitive squad moving into Kakamega.
Two other teams to look at. The Menengai Oilers, like we said, I hadn't mentioned this other team that I'm going to mention as well. Nondis, a solid performance from them equally. And of course, the hosts, Kenya Harlequin. But let's start first with the Menengai Oilers.
Well, you rightly pointed out the Menengai Oilers sort of this weekend had a stumbling block. You could see that they had quite a number of changes to the usual team that Gibson Weru would definitely present. They've been sevens merchants. They've been very, very competitive in our local sevens series, and this being the first weekend, really, I believe that with the squad changes, Gibson Weru has an opportunity to view, a perfect opportunity to view his boys during the Christie Sevens. And I believe going back to Nakuru, he'll definitely come through with a squad that can compete in Kakamega. But the challenge is there. The challenge is this, Michael. With changing players and players transferring to different clubs, and of course, Menengai Oilers losing some of their core players, the spine players that they've been dependent on. It is something that, and also the conveyor belt at Menengai Oilers will always work with recruitment. So getting in young and upcoming players, the likes of Eriko Gutu, who was part and parcel of the dream team. So I believe, Oilers, just like KCB, got a shock on match day one. They'll go back. They'll go back to the drawing board. They will definitely analyze their results and definitely put up a challenge going into Kakamega. So I think Oilers, just like KCB, will definitely be a team to watch out for in Kakamega.
Okay, Nondis, well, they showed flashes of brilliance last year. They did well to top Pool A. Remember, they're in the same pool with KCB, and they started by making it difficult for KCB right on day one. They had a decent run by their standards. Do you think they can be in the picture to cause problems, probably even be dark horses for the title?
Yes, I strongly want to give that thought some life, because looking at Nondes, we talked about them during our pre-match analysis, and the point of concern was, were they ready? And of course, I kept on telling you that they had a preseason. They have quite a number of players coming in. They brought in Ronnie Omondi. They have an experienced spine, the likes of Charles Omosh, Kichua, formerly Homeboys, and Strathmore. They have the likes of Moses Begi. They have the likes of Shisia. They have the likes of Ben Salem from Kenya Sevens. So if you look at the team across board, really, it is a young mix of experience, and that really is a toast to look forward to. It was no fluke. It was no fluke for them to beat the likes of KCB. It was no fluke for them to top the pool on match day one. It was no fluke for Nondis to win their cup quarterfinal match. So I feel like maybe that one stumbling block that did not really work out for them to make cup final is what they need to look at. That's just one game for them to make it to the cup final. So they're a dark horse. They're a very big dark horse. They'll challenge the likes of Cabras. They'll challenge the likes of KCB. And Nondis are in this for it. They're in this for the cup, the main cup.
Absolutely. Yeah, Ben Nyambu is doing good things with his charges in the sevens campaign for Nondis. The host, Kenya Harlequin, they looked flaky on day one, if you asked me. And I didn't see them reaching the cup final, but there they were competing for the cup title at their home tournament.
Yes, rightly pointed out. Day one was slightly a bit of a shaky start for them. They had a draw in between there. They were in between. They were sandwiched in the varsity pool that was one really tough pool for them to pull through. They had the likes of Daystar, Blackblood, and Strathmore Leos. And for you to actually get through that pool, for you to make the cup quarters, that was a big testament for them. And of course, now looking at day two performances, Kenya Harlequins, of course, I think after day one, they went back to the drawing board and they're like, oh, guys, we are at home. Ile aibu tu, I mean, tupunguze aibu, tufanye vile tunaweza,
Did
this
they
is
go
our
back to
party.
the did they go back to the drawing board, or are they summoned by the generals? Anyway,
I think it is a mix of the two. It's a mix of the two because for such a club of the caliber of Kenya Harlequins and the generals they have, you understand that when a performance is not right, people will always voice their concern. But day two, you could see that they had turned a corner. You could see that they had done something, or they had a conversation. They soul searched and did something right on day two. Now, looking at their squad, I wanted to point it out very clearly. Kenya Harlequins has a decent squad. You wouldn't say they boast of the best in terms of the quality we have in the country, but they do have a decent squad, and I believe that with the the players who are coming back, of course, from the Simbas and some who didn't play last weekend, Kenya Harlequins can move forward knowing that they can play some good, decent rugby. They have the likes of Amon Omalo, who was with the Rhinos in South Africa a couple of months ago. They have Leon Young. Leon Young looked really decent on match day 1 and 2. He had very good storming runs. He could complete and score. So it's important for them to maintain the spine and also maintain what they had from a day two of Christie Sevens moving into the Kakamega Sevens.
no conversation about the National Sevens Circuit is complete without the mention of the Strathmore Leos.
Yes, you can't. That is a travesty, Michael. You can't do any of that. So, rightly pointed out, the Leos were always going to be a problem. They were very good on day one. I think they did all they could to top the pool. Match day two was slightly different. I think that quarterfinal game between themselves and Cabras was the turning point for Leos. And I thought they had it until maybe Cabras came through with what was a decisive a winner or winning play. But Leos will always be in the picture, and now the picture has been painted out clearly from match day one that the teams that are always going to be dark horses are Strathmore Leos. We have the likes of Nondis, we have the likes of Quer. So we have a category of teams where we can place Strathmore Leos and say this is a team that, given a good day, they can go and topple or actually go and win a tournament. So it's interesting to see next weekend who Foxy decides to choose in terms of the playing unit, but I believe he has quite a decent a team for him to field and, of course, challenge for a cup this season.
Clean pair of wheels going all the way. Wow, that's serious pace. That is blistering pace. Taking it like a pro.
Great. Remember, there was also women's rugby. The women's competition at the National Sevens Circuit kicked off. And for the umpteenth time, it was Impala and Mwamba in the final again. Impala winning the title. Your take on Impala winning the title, your take on the quality of the teams in the women's competition. How do we grow the game for the women?
Well, I mean, like you've rightly pointed out, the two teams are always in the final. Many finals in this country will always see Mwamba and Impala take on each other. But I also looked at the quality of rugby we were playing this season, and I was happy that the ladies had an opportunity, had a platform for them to come through and play some sevens rugby. Where we are as a nation or where we are as a country in terms of our women's rugby, this is the kind of games that our girls need. These are the kind of tournaments that our ladies need for them to be able to have that match fitness and game ready situation sorted out. I mean, I was really impressed by Impala and Mwamba. Much as the competition was not really like a 16 format team, you could see that there is that competitive nature between themselves, and it's good for the ladies' game to have that battle of wits between Mwamba and Impala. And I'm also imploring the other sides that are coming to try and see if they can be able to catch up with the two. But most importantly, Michael, we had sevens and we had women's rugby, and we have a young crop of ladies coming through the respective clubs. And of course, the game is at a good place in terms of women's rugby, and I believe these opportunities will definitely add something in terms of quality to our rugby in the country.
Great stuff. And just going back to that final, Sharon Auma, just how good was she for Impala on the day?
She was amazing, Michael. She was really amazing. Sharon, I mean, I wouldn't say single-handedly, but she played quite a substantive role in making sure that Impala crossed the line over that Mwamba team in the final. Sharon, of course, she has had an opportunity to play for the national team, and you can see glimpses of what it means to play for the national team. The confidence levels are also up. She's able to make a decision and back herself to the try line. So it's important that Sharon and the other ladies at Impala keep on with the momentum that they had started at Kenya Harlequins.
Absolutely, and it would be great to see the rest of the women's competition as the Sportpesa National Sevens Circuit continues.
The offense that may have gifted Embu a chance to clear their lines. Stallions in a good attacking position, but these lineouts are really a lottery at the moment. Well taken.
Touch.
There's also Division
Yes.
2 action, and my good friends Elisha and Ben Ogunji are the guys behind a team known as the Stallions. Now, do you know what the Stallions did over the weekend? Walter, do you know?
Yes, I did. I know all about Stallions, and you
Yeah.
rightly pointed out,
Yeah.
Michael. A big shout out to Ben Ogonji, my chairman, a very able individual who loves rugby. He played for KCB and just a full-time rugby man. I understand what project they are doing at Stallions because I was part and parcel of the start with them. I am still part and parcel of the club itself. And it has been a turnaround, not really a turnaround, it has been a culmination of a lot of hard work for the last couple of years. We've done this for the last, I guess, 2 years. And Stallions came through. I saw them over the preseason. They played in the Med Sevens. They were very competitive. They also played in Embu, one of the very many tournaments that they enjoy going to.
Hey, Walter, you're back. I was filling in for you.
Yeah. Yeah. So as I was saying, so the Stallions have gone a full turnaround 2 years, and it's really unbelievable the work that Coach Reggae, and I mean Malron Ilanga, who have been very instrumental at Stallions, have been doing. So they're promoted to Division One for the Kakamega Sevens, and it's good to see another team, another setup come through within the rugby ranks to try and unseat the big boys. So Stallions will always cost up. I mean, I'll give you my opinion about Stallions after they've played in Kakamega.
Okay, before you give the opinion, I don't think we told people what Stallions did. We just picked it up. To anybody watching, well, the Stallions won the Division 2 competition title at the Christie Sevens, meaning they're promoted to Division 1 at the second round of the circuit in Kakamega this coming weekend. Speaking of Kakamega, Walter, are you going to be on the microphone? Are you going to be shouting, try time, and all that stuff? Is your voice ready?
Yes, Michael. I am going to be on the microphone. It's a destination I love. I love Ingo. I
Well,
enjoy
we all
going to the
do.
up country.
We all do, man. We all do.
Locals. I enjoy the Omega. the Kakamega delicacies, and everything. So I will definitely be there. Just watch out for what's going to be happening in Kakamega. It's very refreshing that Cabras have an event, and the event will be at the showground. We've not had sevens at the showground before, so Michael, this is an opportunity for us to have something new in Kakamega, and of course, I will be there.
Great. Now, what can we look forward to? I know the pools are yet to be released by Kevin Wambura. Sorry, by the Kenya Rugby Union. What can we what can we look forward to in Kakamega? I had to diss Kevo. He's my boy. I had to diss him as well, man.
You had to, yeah. Well, what to look forward to is it's important for us to understand that match day one, which was the Christie Sevens, was sort of guys dusting and just coming on to the arena. It's been a very long 15 season. We've had teams now readjusting to playing sevens. So the second time of asking should be an interesting one because there are teams that feel like they didn't do their best on match day one. There are teams that feel that they could have done better. The likes of KCB, of course, feeling aggrieved that they finished fifth for a tournament that they had won the previous year. And of course, we've talked about these other teams that are either banana peels or they're teams that are able to win a circuit. So it's going to be fireworks for me because remember, the overall winner of this National Sevens Circuit has a cash prize at the tail end, which is a good incentive. But also, remember, the Kenya Sevens team has landed back from the Olympics. And of course, the technical team will be on the ground in Kakamega to be able to do sort of a look.
As we bring this review of the Christie Sevens to a close, on my end, I felt the organization was great. It was perfect. The live stream was world class. Unfortunately, I had to watch it from miles away. But I've worked with the Christie Sevens organizing committee in the past, and those guys. Have you seen that video clip of that football coach who shouts, "This is job"? Well, anyway, the guys at the Christie Sevens organizing committee know their job. I do believe they put out an excellent production on and off the pitch. For me, my shout outs go to Oliver Wafula. He has so graciously given me footage to use in the inserts for this particular episode. And the one and only Daudi Were. You guys and the entire organizing committee, Nekesa, Chairman Victor Suri, you guys pulled off a great tournament. The onus is now on the guys in Kakamega. But for me, those are my thoughts on the Christie.
But overall, the security at Kenya Harlequin was amazing. The hospitality was fantastic. Like you've rightly pointed out, the live stream was world class from the Live Eye production unit. And of course, finally, the atmosphere and the pitch and the facilities were top notch. So I'll give credit to Kenya Harlequins. They've done this before, and they've also done it again this year. And Christie Sevens was amazing.
Definitely, they've laid down the marker for Kakamega and for the rest of the circuit. Well, Walter, it's been great catching up. Definitely looking forward to getting your insights from Kakamega when we catch up next week. Thanks as always. And remember, this is 254 Rugby. Why don't you make your way down here, subscribe, give us a follow, and stay up to date with whatever content we're putting out. Okay, cheers, man.